Live from our 7 Tasmania studios, your nightly news with Kim Miller begins now.
Good evening. 2 men have been charged after trying to outrun police in Burnie. The pair allegedly sped through busy morning traffic, crashed their car into the old pulp mill site and fled on foot before being cornered by officers in scrubland. Locals did their bit to help police track down the suspects.
This is the high-powered Holden crewman which thundered down the Bass Highway during a dramatic evade in Burnie this morning. It's understood the car was driving at speed when it barrelled across Old Surrey Road.
I heard this car coming, it sounded like a V8 of some sort. Next thing I see this red dual cab ute fully tapped out, coming through here, giving way to no one. And he skipped the island, skipped the curb, and he'd gone straight through the fence.
Jason Weller made a snap decision to block the crewman.
He'd done a U-turn there in the garden, spun out and come back around to go again, and I just parked there on the footpath so he couldn't go nowhere. Next thing, these 2 guys out and gone, and they were off like Forrest Gump, mate.
Police say the men then ran across the highway and onto the beach and went into hiding for around 40 minutes.
2 men were located in the scrub a short time later, taken into custody without incident.
Road spikes were authorised to be used but weren't needed in the end. It's understood the pair had also evaded police in Somerset at around 11 o'clock last night.
They attempted to intercept it and it drove off.
Around 20 officers were here on the scene at the height of the action. Being a busy time of morning when the crash happened, police had plenty of information provided to them.
At 8:30 in the morning, you can imagine there was quite a lot of traffic there. So we did get some very contemporary information in relation to where the men had gone.
This afternoon, police charged a 27-year-old man with evade police, driving whilst disqualified and traffic offences. A 31-year-old man was charged with possessing a controlled drug. Anyone who saw the crewman last night or this morning can pass on information to Crime Stoppers. Tom Johnson, 7 Tasmania News.
New allegations of historic child sex abuse have emerged at the Launceston General Hospital. Claims a 13-year-old boy was abused by a nurse in the late 1980s have been aired in the podcast The Nurse. The Premier has commended survivor Ben Felton for coming forward, but says the government won't release more details.
Engage in discussion about matters that might ultimately prejudice justice being served.
The podcast also brought another case, paedophile nurse James Griffin, to light. 13 state service employees have been stood down on historic allegations since last year. A Victorian woman has been fined after she allegedly escaped hotel quarantine in Hobart. For more, we're joined by reporter Sean McComish. Good evening, Sean. Now, when did this alleged breach happen?
Well, good evening, Kim. Police say the woman and her young child left Hobart's Ibis Hotel at around 6:20 last night. It's alleged they travelled in a taxi, but police haven't said where they went. Both were returned to quarantine by officers just over an hour later. Health authorities are now working to establish their movements and anyone else they may have been in contact with. As an extra precaution, the woman will also be subject to extra COVID tests. Police haven't provided details on how the woman managed to leave, but in a statement said domestic hotel quarantine was managed by private security firms, a model which has been in place since the start of the pandemic. The woman has been fined more than $700, making it one very expensive taxi fare. Kim?
Indeed. Thank you very much, Sean. The long-running feud over the North East Railway has escalated with the next stage of a controversial bicycle trail approved by the Dorset Council. Given the green light at last night's council meeting, it came as no shock to supporters of restoring the train line, who are now vowing to fight on by appealing the decision.
Supporters of the North East Rail kept restoring carriages today. They didn't have a lot of hope for last night's Dorset Council meeting.
We knew the application would be approved. There was never any doubt that it was going to be approved, whether they had an independent planner or whatever.
The DA for the next stage of the North East Rail Trail, running from Scottsdale to Waiina, now approved.
But it's normal for councils to assess their own project, and the independent planner's report from last night was so explicit that the DA met all of the requirements of our planning scheme and the state legislation.
But with 1,101 people signing a petition against the proposal, tensions are still high.
My recommendation to the Mayor is make sure that that money is used for the benefit of your ratepayers and not to build some dream trail that nobody's going to use.
Given that we've been at it for 7 years, I can't see where there's too much more common ground that can be gained.
Dorset Mayor Greg Howard said he understands it's still a divisive issue, but he hopes residents will come around once it's installed. Bicycle users say they are excited for the development.
If you go and have a look at the trails in northeast Victoria, for example, around Beechworth and Bright, those trails are not just used by elitist Olympic-style cyclists, they're used by everybody.
Landowners along the trail say they doubt the tourists are going to come, and the only thing they see at the end of the tunnel is damage to their property.
We'll be appealing anything that succeeds.
Should appeals fail, the final decision heads to the state government, who maintain there's a place for both rail and bikes on the old corridor. Josh Duggan, 7 Tasmania News.
After edging to the brink of extinction, there are small but encouraging signs the orange-bellied parrot population is recovering. A breeding program at 5 Mile Beach is starting to reach important milestones as the race to save the species moves into a new stage.
A small creature whose future is in the hands of Tasmanian scientists. Just a few years ago, orange-bellied parrot numbers in the wild were down to just 17, 3 females and 14 males. Their very existence under threat.
The flock size was quite small and that left them very susceptible to predators. When they arrived in Victoria, it was quite difficult for them to find where they needed to go.
This insurance policy at 5 Mile Beach is helping turn their fortunes around. Home to nearly 400 parrots, the breeding program is giving them a shot at surviving.
We try and minimise our involvement with them and spend as little amount of time as possible in the aviaries. We only catch them when we have to do something like a health check or banding.
New figures are showing positive signs about their impact in the wild. 51 survived the winter migration, the highest number in more than a decade. 137 eggs were laid at breeding sites at Melaleuca, the most since records started in the 1990s. Flock numbers are predicted to reach as high as 200 next migration, breaking the previous record. Researchers moving from protecting to growing bird numbers.
So we've been releasing juveniles from the captive population. They've been migrating at extremely successful rates.
The birds that have been hatched and fledged here have now been reintroduced to the wild population, and they've learnt from the wild birds.
It's hoped the captive bred birds will soon begin eating more naturally. And as for integration, it seems the wild males are learning beggars can't be choosers.
Once we got to the point that we had few females and we released captive females, the wild males became a bit less picky and the population became integrated.
John Hunt, 7 Tasmania News.
The last new locomotive built for Tasmania has been handed over by Tasrail to the Tasmanian Transport Museum, along with 5 kilometres of track. It comes as the state marks the 150th anniversary of the opening of Tasmania's first railway.
People love steam trains, and I keep saying thank you Thomas the Tank Engine, because he's keeping the passion alive with young children. And if you're here on a Sunday when we're running trains, majority of people coming through the gate are mums and dads with young children.
It's the first new exhibition at the museum in more than 3 decades. A statue honouring the thousands of women and children who arrived in Van Diemen's Land in the 1800s has been unveiled in South Hobart. The statue, modelled on Martha Gregory, who was transported from England for stealing, represents the plight of convict women. It stands adjacent to the Female Factory in South Hobart. It's the first of 4 statues, with government funds and community and institution donations paying for the project. Tasmanian salmon giant Tassal has defied the economic downturn as customers snap up more fish. First half results show the company's revenue grew to more than $290 million. Strong harvests and a hungry domestic market have been credited for its strong financial position.
Tim Payne will lead the Tasmanian Tigers in their return to Sheffield Shield cricket tomorrow when they take on a Queensland side bursting with Test talent. Despite 3 of their star players being on international duty, the Tigers coach says tomorrow's match is a chance for fringe players to push their case.
Swapping the colours for the whites, the Tigers are returning to the long form of the game. They'll take to Blunsdon tomorrow for their first 4-day match since November. A mini pre-season during the Big Bash has the team fired up.
Make sure that physically they were right to go, particularly our bowlers, and we've had a great little break with some of our bowlers who will be rolling out in this Shield game as well.
It will be a very different looking side. Riley Meredith, Matt Wade and Ben McDermott are missing due to international duty, while Peter Siddle is out due to a thumb injury. It opens doors for Mac Wright and Caleb Jewell, who've been rewarded for their grade cricket performances.
Caleb Jewell with 5 hundreds this season already, 2 of them in white ball grand finals. He's pretty irresistible form.
Queensland trained at the venue this afternoon. Their team bursting with batting talent, including Test number 3 Marnus Labuschagne. The Bulls thrashed the Tigers by an innings in Adelaide last October, but that's water under the bridge.
We've got some opportunities for some young players as well to play against other international players, so it's a great opportunity, really exciting week.
However, the home side has its own trump card, with Tim Payne returning as captain.
Pretty lucky, aren't we, to have the Test captain playing with us. Not only is he the Test captain, he's a very passionate Tasmanian cricketer.
Play gets underway at 10:30 tomorrow morning. John Hunt, 7 Tasmania News.
Good evening. 29, the warmest today at Scotts Peak Dam, which is a dam with a weather station attached in the southwest of the state, impounding the Huon River and Lake Pedder. Warmest population centres were Campania, Ouse and Launceston, 26 degrees, Hobart 23, Burnie 21 and Devonport 22. Some temperatures in the west and southeast up to 7 above average. Grove and Bushy Park 25, Strawn 24, Friendly Beaches and Flinders Island 23, King Island 22, Low Head and St Helens recording 21. Some low-level cloud over our region, mainly affecting the North and Bass Strait. The east coast of Australia under some cover as well. Thunderstorms active over the far north through WA to Queensland. Tomorrow the high continues to envelop the east coast and as far west as the Bight. A trough runs along the top end with multiple low pressure systems attached. A cold front in the west. Winds east to northeasterly at 15 to 25 knots, reaching 30 knots over the northwest. Variable winds inland and over the southwest later. Strong wind warning has been issued for waters between Sandy Cape and Stanley and from Tasman Island to Southeast Cape. Hobart 28 for the middle of the week, sunny. 29 for Geefston, Bothwell sunny as well, 27 the top. Launceston 25 and partly cloudy, Devonport 22, 26 the high for Cressy. Burnie expecting a top of 21 and partly cloudy, sunny for Strawn, lovely day, 26, 23 for Curry. St Helens tomorrow, 22 and partly cloudy, Swansea 24 along with Orford. UV at a very high 10, sunsets are slipping back, aren't they, as early as 8:15 tomorrow night. On Thursday, fine and hot inland over the south, maybe a shower over the northwest and northeast elevations. Hobart 31 and Strawn 30 on Friday. Looks like the heat rule will be invoked. Can't work in those temperatures. There could be a light shower though over the north. And on Saturday, showers as northerly winds turn more southerly during the day. Mostly sunny in Perth tomorrow. A fierce day for Adelaide, 37. Sunny in Melbourne, 31 the top. Showers for Sydney and Brisbane. A storm likely in Darwin. Sunny conditions currently, 22 in Hobart, 22 in Launceston and 20 right now in Devonport. Looks like summer's trying to hang on a bit, Kim. Not long to go before we get into that cool chill of autumn.
Not even thinking about it. Thank you very much, Murph. That is all your news for now. I'll be back later with updates. Thanks for joining us this evening. Good night.